Story 1. The Midnight Clown. Randy hated working the graveyard shift at McDonald's. The hours dragged on endlessly, and the store felt unnaturally quiet, with only the hum of fluorescent lights and the occasional rustle from the kitchen breaking the silence. But the pay was decent, and Randy needed the job. It was nearing 3 a.m. when the chime over the door echoed through the empty dining area. Randy glanced up, expecting to see a bleary-eyed trucker or a drunk college student stumbling in for fries. Instead, a clown shuffled inside. The man wore a tattered, stained clown suit, its once bright colors faded to dull, grimy shades. His makeup was smeared, with streaks of black running down his face. The painted red smile looked jagged, almost sinister. The clown walked slowly, his oversized shoes squeaking against the tiled floor. He stopped at the counter, staring at Randy with wide, unblinking eyes. "Can I help you?" Randy asked, trying to sound casual despite the unease prickling his skin. The clown didn't respond. He simply raised a pale, shaky hand and pointed to the menu. A Big Mac?" Randy guessed. The clown gave a single stiff nod. Randy quickly assembled the meal, avoiding eye contact as much as possible. When he turned back to the counter, the clown had moved closer, his head tilted at an unnatural angle. "Here you go," Randy said, sliding the tray forward. The clown didn't touch the tray. Instead, he whispered, "You forgot the toy." Randy blinked. "What toy?" The clown's painted grin seemed to stretch wider. His teeth, yellowed and jagged, glinted under the harsh lights. "Every meal comes with a toy, Randy," the clown rasped. Randy froze. "How do you know my name?" The clown didn't answer. He reached into his oversized pocket, pulling out a rusted knife. The blade was chipped and dull, but it gleamed with menace. "Let's play a game," the clown said, his voice low and gravelly. Randy backed away, his heart pounding. The clown vaulted over the counter with shocking speed, his squeaky shoes echoing like a distorted circus melody. Panicked, Randy grabbed a metal spatula from the counter and swung it wildly. The clown dodged effortlessly, his laughter ringing out like a broken calliope. Randy sprinted toward the kitchen, slipping on the greasy floor as he fumbled with the freezer door. He managed to yank it open and slammed it shut behind him, locking it just as the clown reached the other side. The freezer was cold, the air biting at his skin. Outside, he heard the clown's footsteps, slow and deliberate, circling the kitchen. "You can't hide forever, Randy," the clown taunted, his voice muffled but clear. "Toys are meant to be played with." Randy pressed himself into the corner, his breath visible in the freezing air. The footsteps stopped, replaced by silence. Hours seemed to pass. The air in the freezer grew colder, the frost thickening on the walls. When the morning crew arrived, they found the freezer door ajar. Randy was gone. In the dining area, the staff discovered a horrifying sight. Blood smeared on the walls, spelling out the words, "See you soon." A lone Happy Meal box sat on the counter, its lid slightly open. Inside was a cracked name tag that read, "Randy." End of the story. Story 2. The Play Shadows. Lisa couldn't handle another afternoon trapped in the house with her kids, Timmy and Emma. The rain had been relentless all weekend, and their energy had reached a fever pitch. Desperate, she decided to take them to McDonald's. The play place was exactly what she needed. Timmy and Emma bolted toward the brightly colored tubes and slides, their laughter echoing as they disappeared into the maze of plastic. "Stay where I can see you," Lisa called from a nearby booth. She settled in with a coffee, finally able to relax. The sound of her kids laughing and shouting was reassuring, a reminder that they were safe and entertained. But as the minutes ticked by, the laughter began to fade. At first, she thought they were just playing quietly. Then she noticed something odd. The play place seemed darker, the once vivid colors muted. "Timmy," "Emma," she called. No response. Lisa stood, peering into the structure. The tubes were empty, their insides cast in shadow. A faint red smear trailed along the edge of the slide. "Timmy? Emma?" she called again, her voice rising. A soft giggle echoed from deep within the structure. It wasn't a normal giggle, it was distorted, almost metallic, like it didn't belong to a child. Lisa climbed into the play place, her knees brushing against sticky plastic. As she crawled through the tunnels, she noticed dark smudges on the walls. They looked like handprints, but too small and oddly shaped. She reached the ball pit area, and there was Emma, sitting in the middle with her back to Lisa. "Emma!" Lisa cried. "Where's Timmy?" Emma didn't answer. Lisa crawled closer, her heart pounding. "Emma, talk to me." Emma turned slowly, her face pale and lifeless. Her eyes were pitch black, voids that reflected nothing. "They took him," Emma said, her voice flat. "Who took him?" Lisa asked, her throat tightening. "They did." Emma pointed behind Lisa. Lisa turned and froze. Shadows stretched along the walls, forming tall, thin figures with elongated limbs and melting faces. Their heads tilted unnaturally, their mouths opening and closing soundlessly. The figures moved toward her, their whispers filling the air. "Stay and play," they chanted. "Forever." Lisa grabbed Emma and tried to crawl back the way she came, but the tunnel had disappeared. The play place twisted around her, the walls closing in. The shadows surrounded them, their icy hands reaching out. Emma was pulled from her grasp, vanishing into the darkness. Lisa's screams echoed through the play place as the shadows consumed her. When the morning crew arrived, the play place was empty. All they found was a single child's shoe near the ball pit and a message scrawled inside the tunnel. "They're ours now." End of the story. Story 3. The Friar's Curse. The McDonald's on Elm Street had a reputation for being haunted. Employees spoke in hushed tones about the strange occurrences, lights flickering, voices murmuring in empty rooms, and the friar bubbling on its own. Derek, the fry cook, dismissed the stories as nonsense. He was practical, grounded, and more concerned with paying bills than ghost stories. It was a quiet Friday night when Derek found himself alone in the kitchen. The rest of the crew had clocked out, leaving him to clean up. The friar, his least favorite chore, was last on his list. As he scrubbed the edges, a faint bubbling sound caught his attention. Frowning, he checked the switch. The friar was off. The bubbling grew louder, more violent. Derek stepped back as the oil began to ripple, its surface shimmering unnaturally. "Great," he muttered, reaching for the plug. Before he could touch it, shapes began to form in the oil. Faces emerged, their features twisted in agony, mouths open in silent screams. A burnt, acrid smell filled the air as a charred hand shot out of the friar. The skin was blackened and blistered, the fingers impossibly long and clawed. "Burn with us," a voice hissed, low and guttural. Derek stumbled back, knocking over a stack of trays. The hand retreated, but the voices didn't stop. They grew louder, overlapping in a chorus of whispers. "Burn with us." The lights flickered, casting strange shadows on the walls. The shadows began to move, their shapes stretching and twisting into human-like forms with melted faces and hollow eyes. Panicking, Derek ran for the freezer and locked himself inside. The voices followed him, seeping through the thick door. When the morning crew arrived, they found the kitchen in chaos. The fryer was full of a strange black sludge, and oily handprints covered the walls. The freezer was empty, save for a single message scratched into the frosted glass. "You're next." End of the story.